Hello, everybody. My name is Ayan Hitam Saria, and I am in Seattle, Washington, in the United States. And today, I'm going to be teaching you about Chaturanga. Chaturanga is a sport originated in India 1500 years ago, and today it is called chess. So, what is the goal of chess? The goal of chess is to checkmate the opponent's king. So, how do you checkmate the opponent's king? You use these five pieces that you have to check the king so that he can't move and he can't block and he can't take your piece. So first let's learn how do we move our pieces. So this is the pawn, this is the bishop, this is the knight, this is the rook, this is the queen, this is the king. Okay, vapas. Pawn, bishop, knight, rook, queen, king. Okay. So how does a pawn move? Okay. Pawn in the starting position, it moves straight up. It can move one square or it can move two squares. But once it's moved, it can only move one square now. Only one square. Okay, pawn's very simple. It moves just straight up, one at a time. And at its starting position, on the second rank, and for black, the seventh rank. This is the ranks. Rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these are the seven columns. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So pawn can move two squares from the starting position and one square at a time after that. Keep in mind at the start it can also move only one square. If that's a choice if you want to. Okay, next. Done. Bishop. Okay, bishop is also easy. Bishop can move diagonally. Okay? So all of these squares the bishop can move to. So someone tell me how many squares can the bishop move to in this position? Tell me. Yes, that is correct. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 squares the bishop can move to here. 13. It could be less, it could be more in other scenarios. But the bishop can only move diagonally. Okay, diagonal. Okay, next. Now is the rook. The rook moves in straight lines. Okay, like this. So someone tell me how many squares can the rook go to in this position? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 squares the rook can go to in this position. And now lastly, queen, Rani. Rani is rook and bishop combined. So she can move like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. So now let's count again. How many squares can the queen move here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27 squares the queen can move here. 27. So queen can move the most squares, right? After all of this, we saw pawn can move only one or two squares. Bishop can move, how many did we say? 13. Rook can move 14. Queen can move 27. Queen's the most valuable. Okay, now we can go to king. Right? King is more valuable than the queen, even though it can move less squares. Because if the king dies, game is over, you lose. So how can the king move? The king can move, king can move in many ways. King can move up, king can move side, up. Okay, so basically king is queen, but only one square radius. So it could move side, it could move down, it could move side, it could move diagonal down, diagonal up, doesn't matter. Okay? That's how king can move. But king is most valuable, more valuable. Okay, now we're going to go to knight. Knight is little tricky. Okay, knight can move in an L shape. L shape. So like this. That's how knight moves. But it can also move like this. Also, all the L shape possibilities. Okay, you see this? These 8 squares, knight can move to any of these. These are the squares that the knight can move to. Let me mark all the squares. So knight can move the least from all except for the pawn, right? Bishop can move 13, rook can move 14, queen can move 27, king can move 8. So knight can also move 8, right? Sorry. Knight can also move 8. We saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 squares. But the knight is different because the knight can jump over pieces. Look at the bishop. If there is a knight here, or if there's any piece here, right? If there's a queen, sorry, if there's a queen here, the bishop gets obstructed by the queen. You can't do that. See all these dots? These dots, you can't go to the square. The bishop can't go here. Okay, it can't go. So because it can't jump over the queen. Similarly, the rook can't jump over whatever, anything, right? The rook can't jump over a knight. If there's a knight here, sorry, rook can't jump over. Rook can still only go. See, rook can't jump over. There's these two squares you can't reach. They aren't dots, right? The dots show how many other squares you can move to. This the rook can't jump over the knight. Okay, the queen also can't jump over. Whatever, bishop we block it by, rook we block it by, whatever, doesn't matter. Queen cannot jump over her other pieces. See, cannot jump over. The dots stop. You can't go here anymore. You can't go here anymore. King cannot jump over anywhere, right? Because it's only one square. So how are you going to jump over a piece? But knight is different. Say I completely trap the knight by rooks. It can still go to the square. Okay, because knight is like a horse, right? Knight is horse. It jumps over the piece. Jumps over. Queen, they don't jump. Bishop, they don't jump. But knight can jump, so it can still go here. See, the dots are still there. 8 dots still there. Okay, great. Now we're going to be looking at how the pawn can attack. So if anyone remembers how the pawn can move, we can move here. Okay, so we're going to move 2 squares. Now black will move here. Okay, black moves here. Now, but white, the pawn, cannot take straight, right? Like the queen can move straight and then takes a piece. If there's a piece in the queen's direction, she can take the piece, right? If she was here, she can take the piece. If there's a pawn here, she can take the piece. Same thing for all the pieces, right? Bishop here, queen's in the line of sight, right? Bishop can move here, take the queen, takes the queen. Pawn is not like that. Sorry, pawn is not like that. Pawn takes pieces diagonally, but only one square diagonally. Okay, so it can't go here, can't do that. So I'm saying that it's automatically happening, but the pawn can't do that. This pawn can only take this pawn. Say if there's a knight here, for example, the pawn can take the knight. But say if there's like a knight here, the pawn can't take this knight. Okay, look at the squares. Okay, pawn can't go anywhere actually. That's why there's no squares, because there's nothing there. But say if there's like a bishop here. Now you see the black circle. Pawn can go take this bishop if it wants to. Which pawn can take diagonally one. If there's a knight here, pawn can take this knight. And also it can still move up. There's nothing stopping it from moving up. It can still move up. It can also take the knight. Okay. Now I want you guys to tell me, how can this king move straight up in one square to get closer to the corner, the top left corner? Okay, let's see. So you want to get to this corner, so we can either go here or here, right? Because from here we can go here, from here we can go here. But they said straight up, so we should go like this. Okay, now we have to get to this top corner square. How do we get there? Straight up. Very easy. Okay, center of the board is this square, this square, this square, and this square. These are the centers of the board. So how can we move the king up diagonally to the right, so that it will reach these four squares like this? Okay, that's enough. Now what we will learn is how to set up the board. The board is 64 squares in the chessboard. Okay, there are 8 columns. Sorry, 8 columns, 8 rows, 8 columns. So what is 8 times 8? 64. 8 times 8 is 64. That's 64 squares. Okay, 64 squares. So now how do I set up a board? There will be 8 pawns. Okay, 8 pawns. Like I told you before, pawns are on the second rank. Okay, 8 pawns. This is the whites. Rooks are on the side. King is in the middle. Remember, king is always on the e file. Okay, sorry. King is always on the e file. This king, white king, black king, always start on the e file. You can move them later, but they always start on the e file. Knight goes on the g file and the b file. Why did I put bishop there? I don't know why I put bishop there. Knight goes on b file and g file. Okay, file is row, column, whatever. Now bishop goes between the king and the knight and between the queen and the knight. So there's 2 bishops, 2 knights, 2 rooks, 1 king, 1 queen, 8 pawns. Okay, this adds up to 16 pieces. Now black also have to do the same thing. So I want someone to tell me, where do I put how many pawns and where do I put them? 8 pawns, correct. 8 pawns. All of them are on the 7th rank. And now these pawns will start moving this way. Sorry, not that way. This way. And our pawns will move this way. And this is how we will start attacking each other. Now where does the king go? I told you guys, where does the king go? The king goes on the e file. Where does the queen go? Queen goes next to the king. D file. Okay. Knights G file and B file. Rooks H file and A file. Okay, file is column, row, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter. Bishops are on the F file and on the C file. Now this is a properly set up game. Properly set up position. This is how you start a game. Now how do I remember it? That has to be like this? Okay. So you see these white corners? The rook is on the white corner. Okay. So if it doesn't say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you can remember rook is on the H. Okay. So if the rook is on the bottom right, there should be a rook. Okay. On the bottom right, it should be a white square and there should be a rook. If there isn't, then that means you flipped the board. Okay. Something is wrong. Maybe you've put it this way, but something is wrong. Okay. So white, the king should be on the E file. So A, B, C, D, E. So 5 squares from the left. And there should be a rook on the bottom right. The white rook, white square, white rook on the bottom right. Okay, very good, guys. I will assign you classwork now. And I hope you enjoy. I hope you've learned a lot. And I can't wait for next week. And remember to do your homework. Okay, bye.